Okay. Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Okay. The Grand Rapids Police Department is currently investigating a felonious assault involving a weapon. At 12:05 this afternoon, we were called to the 8 and 900 block of Caulfield Southwest on reports of multiple gunshots that were fired and a vehicle that was seen fleeing the area at a high rate of speed. A couple of minutes later, we then received phone calls from subjects who were inside that vehicle who advised that they were traveling through the area when they began to take shots. They looked out the window of their vehicle and saw several subjects, one subject in particular who appeared to be firing a weapon in their direction. And then they fled at a high rate of speed. They also saw those subjects barricade or go inside of an area address. Our officers arrived on scene, surrounded the residence, where we then called for additional resources, which is why you see all the officers here. The officers then arrived, replaced the officers who were on scene, and then approximately 2 hours later, the subject who was inside of the house came out on his own and was taken into custody. As you can see from behind me, our special response team, our crisis negotiation team, K-9 unit, and some other units, additional units, responded to help in this matter, in this incident, in a safe manner. The subject, as I mentioned, is currently in custody, who's being interviewed, and we are, right now, we are currently gathering up evidence and still investigating the incident as we speak. Yep, there were a total of 3 people. When we got there, we started making announcements to have those individuals come out. 2 came out. The 3rd stayed in. He later came out approximately 2 hours later. So we have no injuries. Thank goodness we have no injuries in this incident thus far. No one has shown up at a hospital to my knowledge. And as I said before, it is currently under investigation.
Terry, talk to us about what role crisis negotiation plays in that 2 hours, because they're talking that entire time.
Well, during that time, they are trying to develop and establish a rapport with the person to try to convince or that person to come out. The goal here is to make sure that we have everyone come out safely. We don't want anyone getting hurt. So their role is crucial, along with other roles. All of them are crucial, which is why we have them come out. But our goal is to safely end issues and incidents like this.
Can you explain the other scene over that way, or are there multiple scenes? There's officers kind of stationed a block back over that way, and then over this as well?
Yeah, what you're looking at there, we call that our outer perimeter. So we're trying to block people from coming in so we can safely deal with the issue at hand at that particular residence. So we only had one scene.
Only one location of it.
That's right.
Was it that house on B Street?
It was a residence over on Caulfield, actually occurred in an alley through there, 8 and 900 block of Caulfield.
So this was more just the GRPD staging area, which is why it looks crowded over there.
That's right. This is our staging area. This is where we can assemble our teams and launch from here.
And so which home were they inside of that they ended up coming out of? Was it on A, or what was it on Caulfield?
It was a residence on the 900 block of Caulfield.
Was it a residence that they were familiar with, to your knowledge, or was this someone's home that they just went into?
That is currently under investigation. I do not know that.
We were hearing rumblings that this might have had something to do with a shooting earlier this week on 28th Street over by the Chick-fil-A. Is there any reason to believe that these are related, or you're still investigating those possibilities?
At this time, I have no reason to believe that any of these incidents or this incident was related to anything else.
And no threat to the public, anything like that? Is it all resolved now?
As I mentioned earlier, everyone who we believe that is involved is currently being investigated or being interviewed right now. So, as far as we know, there's no danger to the public. Everyone is accounted for.
Talk to me about too, because it seems to be that there's one shooting incident and they kind of all spiral, they snowball. Can you talk to me about that? Like that they just kind of seem to run in I don't want to say like a group, but but when one happens, more is to come. We've had a few shootings over the weekend. Now this season.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we have multiple shootings that have taken place, and unfortunate that we've had 2 people lose their lives. We have families that are grieving right now in the city of Grand Rapids as a result of these incidents. It's a tragedy. But as far as how they're multiplying, I can't really speak to that, other than the fact that anyone who is shot, any homicide is sad, and it shouldn't be tolerated.
Talk to me a little bit about, this situation has been largely resolved at this point. The public is not in danger, but it was still, a priority for you to come over and brief the media, brief the community. Why was that so important, even though the situation is largely over? Why is that big for GRPD?
As our message and our top cop says, and actually follows through, this is about transparency and letting the public know exactly what is taking place, which is why I'm speaking to you right now.
Can you explain? There's a lot of unmarked vehicles, GRPD vehicles. Is there more unmarked vehicles than normal than you would say at this scene, or more unmarked vehicles on the streets? I just have noticed, that's just something I'm noticing now, that there seems to be about 10 or 12 of them. Normally they say Grand Rapids Police on the side of them.
We have multiple different types of units that are currently working. So the normal patrol vehicles are marked and designated, but we also, as I mentioned before, we have our special response team on scene. We have other units that provide support as well. So those additional resources that I mentioned before were called out whenever we have an incident like this, because we need to alleviate or relieve the patrol units so we can get back to patrolling and responding to calls for service.
So it's just a different type of job, different type of car.
Just a different type of car. Job is mostly the same.
Do you guys have any other questions for him?
Thank you for clarifying it, because I was hearing the wrong thing. You were crazy. But I'm looking for a job too.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm looking for an
Not for
assistant.
the police, but right here.
She's been on it though too. She's keeping all this going for him too. So
Going on my life.
Okay, well that's what's
But I'm
happening
always
today.
in the house. So.
All right. Okay.